The vision of the Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, (Ncdmb), to be the catalyst for the industrialization of the Nigerian oil and gas industry and its linkage sectors has become more critical than ever with the impact of COVID-19 pandemic and current global energy transition, and as such, requires new and innovative approaches to realize. Hello and welcome to the local content television program. I am Abubakar, and I'm glad to have you join us. To support the operations of indigenous oil companies and prevent staff layoff due to the adverse effects of COVID-19 and the drop in oil price, Ncdmb recently signed a memorandum of understanding with Nexim Nigerian Export-Import Bank on the administration of $30 million working capital fund for oil and
The Nigerian Content Development and Monitoring Board, Ncdmb, in pursuit of its vision to be the catalyst for the industrialization of the oil and gas industry and its linked sectors, put in place numerous innovative programs. The latest being the Working Capital Scheme under the Nigerian Content Intervention Fund, conceived to complement efforts by the federal government to support the oil and gas industry in overcoming the adverse effects of COVID-19 and prevent staff downsizing. It is against this backdrop that the board and the Nigerian Export-Import Bank signed a memorandum of understanding on the administration of a $30 million working capital fund for oil and gas service companies. Speaking at the occasion, the managing director of Nexim Bank, Abubakar Bello, explained that the collaboration with Ncdmb aims to support local service companies to export their services.
Many have asked, and it came up, why Nexim, there is an export-import bank for non-oil products, is involved with servicing the oil and gas sector. One, we point out quickly that service is not oil and gas. It's provision of service to the oil and gas sector, and it's also exportable. Okay, as the oil and gas sectors of other African countries especially open up, the capacities that are built and have been built over time in the Nigerian oil and gas sector becomes exportable to other African countries and other oil economies. So we are very happy to be part of this, okay, and we're going to support the development and building of capacities of indigenous service providers to be able to take them into other oil economies, and that is the part that we're playing as Nexim Bank.
The chairman of Peton, Nicholas Odinue, lauded the initiative, stating that the move will give traction to the industry.
We would like to thank the board for coming up with this solution to speed up this disbursement. And from what you're going to do now, after the signing, we are sure it's going to give traction to the industry. And then with the coming on board by Nexim and the final ceremony, so we hope those who are qualified and have met all the criteria will, as a matter of speed, have the funds in their respective accounts so that they can be able to continue to move the industry forward and halt this craze to downsize of staff in industry.
The Executive Secretary Ncdmb Engineer Simbi Kesiye Wabote gave a background to the working capital scheme.
Our sincere thanks to the chairman of the Council of Ncdmb, the Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, and other council members for the tacit support with which they gave to this working capital scheme in order to see that Nigerian businesses continue to provide services and don't lay off Nigeria. And this was approved as what we must do to support the oil and gas industry. I think the council also realized that after the COVID, there have been a lot of intervention in other sectors, agriculture, airline operation, and all the rest of them, and nothing was done with the oil and gas sector. So this is, if you like, the Buhari's administration's intervention in the oil and gas sector to keep the sector from laying off Nigerians, to keep them from continuing to provide service to the oil and gas industry.
Giving details of the fund, the Executive Secretary Ncdmb explained that the maximum amount that can be borrowed by a single obligo is $1 million United States dollars, or its Naira equivalent.
Product categories available under the scheme are as follows: working capital, invoice discounting, oil service contracts, capacity building, including financial advisory and literacy, and this is where Octan comes in, and low-end equipment and asset acquisition that amount can accommodate. Target market comprise the Nigerian oil service providers that belong to a professional association in the Nigerian oil and gas industry, such as PETAN and Octan, and commercially viable with a business relationship with either the IOCs or the indigenous oil and gas producers. The maximum amount that can be borrowed by a single obligo is $1 million, or its Naira equivalent, at official exchange rate prevailing at the time of the borrowing. The tenure shall be up to 12 months for working capital loans and up to 3 years for capacity building loans with moratorium of up to 12 months. The applicable interest rates shall be 5% per annum for all foreign currency denomination and 8% per annum for Naira denominated loans, and the rate shall be fixed throughout the tenure of the loan.
Speaking further, Engineer Wabote confirmed that all applications for fund shall be online for transparency's sake.
All applications shall be through the web, and Nexim shall develop and avail a dedicated portal to facilitate the process. For transparency, no application comes to Ncdmb. All applications go to Nexim, similar to what we do with the Bank of Industry, with access given to designated Ncdmb staff for monitoring and necessary functions. So from time to time, we just monitor what Nexim is doing, how things are being delayed, how smooth things are moving. We have access to see that. The eligibility transactions qualifying for funding support comprise transactions connected with the oil and gas service contracts, contracts that boost the operation and viability of qualifying members, transaction for the supply of low-end asset and other equipments for the execution of oil and gas service contracts for both the international operating companies, the indigenous companies, and the national oil company.
High point of the occasion was a formal signing between Ncdmb and Nexim Bank, after which the representatives of the Oil Producers Trade Section OPTS and Oil and Gas Trainers Association of Nigeria Octan shared their thoughts.
This is not really the first fund they're doing. There was one which is being managed by Bank of Industry. So that fund has been there. Because what had happened was we've had numerous discussions, as the ES said, we've had numerous discussions saying, listen, the major challenge we have with our service providers is that they don't have the funds to provide the services. So if there was something that can be done, and so Bank of Industry and Ncdmb came together and they formed that first part. So this one is even, I'll call it 2.0. So this is like the 2.0 versions of what has happened in the first, and of course, it can only get better. It can only get better. With the first one, we've seen the success. So this one will even be, I believe it will even be more successful than the first one, because all the lessons learned from the first one, we'll use it to make sure that, or they will use it to make sure that this is even more successful. So it's worth being proud. It's something to be proud about, yeah.
It's a beautiful adventure, beautiful proposal and program. As usual, Ncdmb is very innovative. Very innovative. You know, this building of capacity, the ES is not paying lip service to it. It's something that will change the status quo as we know it, because everybody can see the impact of the pandemic. And so this is a way, at the end of the day, everything boils down to money. Working capital is the essence of any business. If your business is no longer having funds to run, you're as good as closed. So I think it's a beautiful intervention. Another innovative first from Ncdmb.